We now turn our attention to boxing and an upcoming fight taking place on the 8th of October 2022 at the O2, the big family grudge match, Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. If we look at the records, we've got Chris Eubank 32, 2-0. We've got Conor Benn 21, 0-0. Conor Benn, 14 of those 21 wins coming by knockout or stoppage. Chris Eubank, 23 of his 32 wins coming by knockout or stoppage. We know about this big fight, we know about the history, and we know about the controversy going on at the moment. Conor Benn allegedly failing some sort of drugs test, and they're talking about and debating whether the fight's going to go ahead. Some feel that as soon as the drugs test is failed, the fight should be off for Chris Eubank's safety in this case. And, others look at the money, and I think it'll probably go that way. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a big undercard of fighters where fighters are prepared, trained, and are ready to fight and be paid. Chris Eubank Jr. has got down to weight. He's had to cut to get to the right weight for this fight. He's come in and he's saying he's been professional and is at the weight. Conor Benn's ready to fight. I think the fight will probably go ahead, but we'll see. I'm just going to go through who I think will win and where's the value in the betting either way, whether it happens now or whether it's postponed later. I think there's too much money on the table for the fight not to happen at some stage. But yeah, as things stand, the way Eddie Hearn and Kalle Sauerland are talking, I wouldn't be surprised if it still goes ahead on Saturday. There's a lot of politics to sort out. But anyway, getting into the boxing. Well, Chris Eubank Jr., the older man in this fight. Conor Benn, the younger man. Conor Benn, more explosive, more powerful. A lot of knockout wins on his record in recent history. He's got very powerful. He's very, very explosive. He dealt with Chris Algieri very quickly. He dealt with Chris Van Heerden very quickly. And he's got a reputation now for being pretty explosive. I must say I wasn't sure about Conor Benn early on. He had a few difficult fights. I think he struggled with Sebastian Formella. And I think it's Cedric Penode, who got 2 points victories in the end, but he had problems. I think he was smaller then. He's got a lot bigger. And he's a lot more experienced now. And there's a viciousn's to his work, which is very similar to how his dad used to fight. And he's very dangerous now. Everyone's giving him his respect, and he's earned his respect. So he's a danger. Chris Eubank Jr., been around a lot longer, a lot more experience. If we look at his records, he's got victories over the likes of James DeGale, Arthur Abraham, Liam Williams recently. So good solid wins. Lost one to George Groves, lost one to Billy Joe Saunders on points. So he maintains his dignity, even in those losing efforts. He still fought well and fought valiantly. Early in his career against Billy Joe Saunders, very early, he was brave to take that fight. And George Groves, George Groves being a world champion, that long jab of his, he's a dangerous fighter, he's a respected fighter, had a good career. No shame in losing to him in a points loss. At this stage of their careers, Benn is still on the way up. Benn is still progressing. Benn hasn't peaked. Chris Eubank Jr., he will say that he hasn't peaked yet, but there's an argument to say he might have seen the best from Eubank Jr. already. Has he reached his potential? Most people would say no. Hasn't won one of the recognised World Championship belts, but he still has that on his agenda. And he said he has to get past Benn if he wants to continue in that campaign for a world title. And I'd have to agree to him. If he loses to Conor Benn, someone who's viewed as a more inexperienced, younger fighter, fights at a lower weight, he's going to lose face, and it's going to be very difficult for him to be calling out the likes of Gennady Golovkin and the other championship contenders at his weights, at middleweight and super middleweight. So it's a big fight for both, a lot at stake. I think it's fairly simple from my point of view, how you see it going. I think either Benn early. I think if Benn comes out explosive and super aggressive and Eubank takes him lightly, Eubank's been talking about 60% of his effort will be enough to beat Conor Benn. If he comes in with 60%, it's likely that Benn will creep up on him and, knock him out, give him trouble. If Eubank Jr.'s taken him lightly, he's made jokes about eating KFC and fast food and not taking the weight cut seriously because he doesn't have to. And I'm pretty sure that's all a lot of bluster and just to get interest on the fight, and it has been funny. But in all seriousness, if Eubank turns up with 60%, he's going to have trouble. If Eubank turns up, takes it seriously, takes the fight seriously, as he has done every fight in his career, takes things professionally, has prepared properly, and uses experience, he should be able to win. Eubank, I could see him, just taking it easy, being evasive, taking his time, letting Benn attack him, let Benn expend energy, cover up, using head movement, leaning back on the ropes, moving around the ring, showing good ring generalship, and just using his experience to tire out Benn and outlast him. Eubank, his career shows he's got good stamina. Even in his losses, he's lost on points. He's gone the distance. He's had long attritional fights. Benn, on the other hand, is almost a victim of how good he's been recently because of these quick knockouts. He's not really been having these longer fights as he's got heavier. I think he did win on points against Adrian Granados, I think it was. But generally, his wins recently have been pretty quick and pretty explosive. Blowing out Algieri. Chris Van Heerden was dealt with quickly. So if Eubank takes it long and uses stamina, I'm looking towards Chris Eubank on this one. He's got stamina, he's got endurance. He's been working with Roy Jones. He has looked, I have to say, Eubank, he looked good against Liam Williams. But he fought a guy not long ago. I've forgotten his name. He's not a big name. He fought him just to keep busy, and it wasn't hugely impressive, Eubank. But obviously, I think at the time, I think it might have been soon after he lost his brother. So that's obviously a big emotional impact on anybody's life, and I think that might have affected his performance. And I think also facing someone who's pretty much unnamed, I don't think there was any motivation there. But in this, there's loads of motivation. There's the family history. And we all know that they're both very motivated to win. So, looking at the odds, straight up, we've got Chris Eubank 1-2 to win. We've got Conor Benn 7-4 as the outsider. Looking at those odds, I don't think there's much value there. I think the prices are roughly right. Anyone betting on those sort of odds, you're generally getting what the odds should be. There's no special value there. In terms of value, I've had to look to the round betting and methods of victory. If Benn's going to win, I would say he's going to win in rounds 1-4. That's my opinion, with his explosiveness. Overwhelming the older fighter, Chris Eubank Jr. If Eubank wins, I think it's going to be round 7-12 if it's a stoppage. And I actually think it'll be points. I think Eubank will win on points. Looking at the prices around, Eubank to win on points. Seen on Paddy Power, you can get 16-5, so just above 3-1. 888 Sport, I think they're nearly touching 4-1 for Eubank on points. I think that's a great price. Eubank has shown in his career he's got stamina. We know both fighters are going to be motivated. Benn, I think Benn's going to be completely up for it and won't be looking to give up or be stopped at any point. So I think the fight going the distance is it's a very good possibility for that. Both are very motivated. They're saying Benn's been done for some sort of drug infraction. I don't want to make light of it, but if he has been, maybe that will help his endurance, so that makes it more likely he'll get to the end of the fight. Eubank Jr., we know his engine, we know his endurance, we know his stamina, so it'll be no surprise if he gets to the end of the fight. And I just think Eubank's experience will tell. I think if he can just see off Benn's early energy and early viciousness with smart defence, smart foot movement, smart ring generalship, just use his experience, see him off, let him tire. You know, he can creep up on him, win the rounds, and win on points. And I think his bet 365 is 16-5 on that one. Or was it Paddy Power? Yeah, Paddy Power as well. That sort of price, 3-4-1, and I think it's a good value. You can put a few points on that. Not go too mad on it. Enjoy the fight, and if Benn can get the points victory, then there's a nice little profit there, isn't it? Please give your opinion on the fight. You can give your opinion on the drug situation, who you think will win and why. If you've seen any good odds out there and any good betting value out there, please comment. Let us know what way you think it will go. But enjoy the fight if it takes place on Saturday, 8th of October. If it doesn't, I think they'll postpone it. It'll be a great fight when it happens. Enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.